Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Today we are taking a second look at the Bandage, not Bondage Knives, Stitch V2. Disclaimer time, this was sent to me for free for the purpose of these videos by Bandage, but I don't get to keep it. So saying that it was sent for free is kind of a weird way to phrase that. This is a pass around. I will be sending this off to the next person when I'm done with this video and when the next person is ready for it. That being said, I want to thank Bandage for including me in the pass around. I'm going to try my best to not call him Stitch throughout this video because there is another maker named Stitch and I always get the names confused. Let's get into the Stitch V2. Now I want to be completely honest in saying that I should be far more excited about the Stitch V2. I was very excited about the Stitch R. The Stitch R is a ballad song that I still enjoy. Maybe not as much as I did in that original video that I made on it in the first pass around, but I still think it's a really solid and fun flipper. And I have come around to the fact that I like the Stitch V2 more. The balance just works for me a little bit better, as do, ironically, the thinner rectangular handles. I typically don't like that stuff, but I think here it really, really works. Choker fans do not feel impeded by that more rectangular feel because of the rounding that Bandage has added to the faces of the Stitch, and it makes for a really satisfying fan and choker fan experience in a package that shouldn't be that satisfying to fan and choker fan. Rollovers and zero-G chaplains and regular chaplains in general are comfortable and, unlike what you just saw, are stable. I don't feel like it's going to fly off my finger at any moment. It sticks there as long as I want it to. That being said, in the original unboxing video for this thing, I detected that there was a little bit of weirdness and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Unfortunately, I still can't put my finger on it because it's kind of disappeared since I've been flipping this thing, especially as I've been flipping it in preparation today for this video. It just doesn't feel that weird anymore. And it was interesting because Bandage messaged me after the first video went up and said, hey, I detect that weirdness too. I made a few changes to the distribution, moved some weight around to kind of help with it a little bit. And I think that you are really going to like the newer version with the kukri blade that's going to release in a few months because, you know, we have, at least I think we have similar flipping profiles. And I think that's really interesting. It makes me very, very, very interested in the kind of Stitch V 2.1 or whatever you want to call it. Especially with that new kukri blade. There is still a little bit of weirdness. Sometimes I pick this up and I'm just not as comfortable flipping it as I am with some other ballad songs in my collection. But I think that more comes down to... I think there is a little bit of weirdness to this, actually. I'm just going to scrap that immediately. But it's not as bad as it was in that first video. In that first video, it was very, very glaringly noticeable. And now that I've gotten more used to it, I don't really notice it as much. Sure, there's a few tricks that when I try and do them, it just kind of spins out in a weird way and I can't really put my finger on why. But I like it. I really like the Stitch V2. I think ultimately it's my favorite thing that Bandage has put out. Even though I'm not as excited about it as I was about the Stitch R in the Stitch R's video, since flipping the V2, the Stitch R has definitely kind of dropped a little bit for me. Ironic. I don't like the dimensions as much. I don't like the balance as much. It's still a great ballad song, and I do recommend it to anyone who thinks that this concept of a zippy modified titanium sandwich flipper that's also coincidentally compatible with a Kraken, if you think that's a cool idea, I think you're going to love any one of them. But I think the Stitch V2 is the most refined feeling of the entire lineup, and I really, really like it for that. I do. It just flips nice. Doesn't flip perfect, but what ballad song does? And I think that the biggest sort of advantage that's going to come out of the Stitch lineup is the fact that if Bandage can stick to the release schedule that he's been kind of hinting at, this could become kind of the go-to recommendation for a highly available titanium trainer, titanium ballad song in this price range. Because I think of other ballad songs that are kind of around this price point that are titanium and that are available often, and I just can't really think of any. Things like the Slift T come to mind, but of course that's discontinued, and the Totori hasn't released in quite some time. I don't think it's discontinued, but it certainly isn't readily available. The only titanium trainer, now that the kite is made out of aluminum for some reason, LDY, is the Superfly again. But the Superfly isn't anywhere close to the price that this thing is, and I think that this thing does ultimately win out in quality for what should be pretty obvious reasons on that price point. So barring anything that I'm forgetting, and if you can think of a highly available titanium balisong in like the $300 to $500 range that I'm forgetting, please leave it in the comments down below. It is late, and I've been trying to get ready for moving out of this apartment. So I've been very tired lately. So I'm probably forgetting something. I honestly, yeah, leave it in the comments if I am. But if this thing sticks to the release schedule that he's been kind of hinting at, I think he's got a winner on his hands. And I think he's got a winner on his hands regardless. I think Bandage does win with the Stitch V2. It's an ultimately good flipper, even if it is maybe a little weird, that does everything I want it to, has enough interesting things about it. You know, it's customizable. You can get the zippy customization experience in a titanium balisong, which is hype as hell. And it's just cool. I don't know. I like it. I think he's got a winner, just like he had a winner with the Stitch V1 and the Stitch R. I think if you're interested in this concept, the Stitch V2 will not disappoint you. That being said, I just haven't been able to figure out why I'm not as excited about it as I was about the Stitch R. Because I was ecstatic about the Stitch R when I sent it off in the first pass round that I got in with it. And I pick up the Stitch V2 and I just don't feel the same way. I don't know if it's maybe because it's post-Blade show and we're kind of like in one of those, you know, flat lines where there's nothing really going on. There's nothing exciting to talk about, so I'm kind of checked out mentally. But it is... Or maybe it's due to the fact that I just haven't been able to mess with this in the way that it really deserves to be messed with. Because Bandage sent like other spacers and other weights, but I just have a problem with taking apart other people's balisongs and other people's, especially pass-around balisongs. I don't want to ruin the experience for the next person. And I know Bandage is going to tell me, oh no, you can totally mess with the weights or whatever, but I just don't enjoy doing it. Kind of just want to experience the balisong, how it arrives to me, and then send it on to the next person. So maybe that's why I'm not as ecstatic about this thing as I should be. I don't want that to muddy the water, that I still do like it. It's going to stay on my recommendation list for this price range, basically wherever the Stitch V1 was. And I eagerly await the release of the Kukri version with this supposed new distribution that he's talking about. But for right now, what I can say is that it is solid. I haven't talked about the new blade profile yet. I like it. I think it's a little awkward with kind of how this part is. It's kind of like a circular arc here, and then it smooths off here, but then it kind of still arcs a little bit, but it's a different level of arc than it is over here. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, man. And the blade kind of gets wider and then points up towards the end. It's a cool blade design, but it just, it just doesn't match the Stitch design language as much as I think the Kukri did. I know the Kukri doesn't really kind of match this aesthetic anyway, with the way it was kind of more rounded, and then you have the X's and the more square hole pattern. But something about that original design with that Kukri blade just worked for me. And I think that the Tonto blade, while great, and probably a lot of people's favorites, loses a little bit of that charm. You know, I think that the Kukri blade has a ton of charm, a ton of personality, that I just don't get the same feeling with the Tonto blade here. Or whatever blade shape this is. I don't know, man. I think it looks cool, though. I think it still works, just not as well as that original Stitch blade. So overall, I think Bandage definitely has a winner with the Stitch V2. I like everything that it does. It does every trick that I want it to, the way that I want it to do it. Especially fans and choker fans, I'm surprised by how well it performs, considering that I typically don't like rectangular handles, but here I barely even feel them. In fact, a more square balisong like the Stitch R I don't like as much because it just kind of feels bulkier and not as easily controllable on those fans, which is strange. And it ultimately results in a balisong that I think will really kick ass if the alluded production schedule can be stuck to. And I keep saying that not because I don't trust Bandage to actually do that, but just because, like, there have been plenty of cases where someone said, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to be released all the time, and then it kind of just doesn't. So it's not that I don't believe in Bandage, it's just that I'm not going to get terribly hyped about the possibilities of such a release schedule until we actually see it put into action. So I wish Bandage all the best. I want to give them a huge thanks for including me in this pass around, and I want to give you a huge thanks for watching. It's fun, man. If you think that this idea looks interesting, pick it up. It's pretty cool. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.